One dark and stormy day, African Gaming found himself wandering the streets, begging for water. He was parched and dehydrated, his throat dry and his body weak. As he stumbled down the road, he noticed a man named Edward. Edward seemed wealthy, with his designer clothes and expensive watch, but when African asked him for water, Edward rudely pushed him out of the way. African Gaming refused to give up, however, and continued to plead with Edward for some water. This angered Edward, who suddenly lashed out at African with a force that could have killed a normal human being. African was sent flying through multiple buildings, crashing through walls and leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. But to everyone's surprise, African Gaming emerged from the rubble, seemingly unharmed. Edward was shocked and frightened by African's resilience and quickly realized that he was no match for this formidable opponent. African and Edward then engaged in a fierce battle, exchanging blows that shook the very foundations of the city. Edward, realizing he could not defeat African through brute force alone, made a desperate decision. He compacted all of his muscles to the maximum, causing his body to contort and scream in agony. When the smoke cleared, Edward had transformed into a monstrous form of pure fear and dread. With a newfound power, Edward launched himself towards African with a speed that defied belief. African was caught off guard, and Edward sent him straight to the moon with a devastating blow. However, as African was flying back to the Earth, he pulled out a bottle of water and drank deeply, instantly boosting his power by 100 times. African Gaming landed on the ground with a mighty thud, surprising Edward with his incredible resilience. The two combatants then resumed their battle, trading blows and causing destruction all around them. Edward charged towards African once again, but this time African was prepared. When Edward hit him, African took no damage, and Edward was struck with a powerful punch that sent him flying and spitting out blood. Edward was about to retaliate when African unleashed a flurry of punches, blasting Edward into a million pieces. However, Edward was able to pull himself back together, and he unleashed a final blast that he claimed could destroy the entire planet. But African was not intimidated. He unleashed his strongest move, the BLM punch, which sent Edward's blast back at him with even greater force, splitting the sky and blasting Edward into a corpse. As African Gaming walked away, Edward gasped, How are you so strong?" African simply replied, "It's the power of water." Edward could not believe it, but he knew that he had been defeated by a force far greater than himself.